Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck's back, ladies and gentlemen. In real time, on the last Simon Feck stream, ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck created a character, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck created Johnathon, ladies and gentlemen. Just like that, I gave Johnathon a character, ladies and gentlemen. You can check out the last, well, not the stream just a couple minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen, but the stream a couple days ago, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck is out creating characters, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck created Johnathon, the Corky Gambler, ladies and gentlemen. The nervous gambler, the guy with the gambling ticket in his hand, all shaking, hoping he's going to hit that big parlay, the big Jimmy the Drunk parlay, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's out creating characters, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's creating his own community, ladies and gentlemen. And nobody gets to steal Johnathon, the character Johnathon, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody goes around stealing Johnathon, ladies and gentlemen, you got to answer to Simon Feck 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. We're out here at UFC 329, ladies and gentlemen. Straight ahead, you can see the Hard Rock Hotel. Guitar-shaped hotel being built, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. On the right here, Circus, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. If you can see it, you can see it, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's not playing around with the camera angle, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck got rid of Mr. Mike, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mike was a waste of his time, ladies and gentlemen. This is Circus West Circus Drive right here, ladies and gentlemen. They'll be tearing down Circus. Circus, as far as I know, is not owned by MGM and the other piece of shit, whatever the fuck that is, ladies and gentlemen. I've been coming out here for years, ladies and gentlemen. After a while, you learn where the secret bars are, ladies and gentlemen. Where the famous people hang out, ladies and gentlemen. I'll show you one later today when I hang out with Don Fry, ladies and gentlemen. Don Fry is one of my favorite people to hang out with. You know why? Because he likes to party, ladies and gentlemen. He ain't a pussy, ladies and gentlemen. Too bad Johnathon wasn't here, ladies and gentlemen. The character that Simon Feck created, ladies and gentlemen. The nervous gambler, ladies and gentlemen. The man that can't pay attention to the chat, doesn't even know his fellow Discord buddies are in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. He just goes in and turns his mic on, ladies and gentlemen, and stares at his ticket, ladies and gentlemen, hoping it's going to hit, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't provide much chat comments or anything like that, but he does provide Mr. Nervous himself, ladies and gentlemen. Johnathon, an original character developed on and by Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen, from the BK Discord, ladies and gentlemen. Now, later today, we got some surprises, ladies and gentlemen. There's some big surprises coming. We had a couple people in on something, ladies and gentlemen, for quite a while. Nobody said anything, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't ask anybody not to say anything. We just knew not to say anything, ladies and gentlemen. As the week goes on, you're going to start noticing things happening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going live right here because Hunt won't leave Simon Feck alone, ladies and gentlemen. Next time I'm in Liverpool, I'm going to go and knock and put a noogie on Hunt's forehead, ladies and gentlemen. That big-ass forehead of his, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The Vegas Strip, ladies and gentlemen. Las Vegas Boulevard, ladies and gentlemen. It looks a lot cooler at night, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. It's like 9:30. Yep, 9:30. 9:31. And there's nobody out on the streets, ladies and gentlemen. It's like a freaking ghost town, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you got gambling all over the place. You got gambling online, ladies and gentlemen. Hence the character Johnathon, developed on Simon Feck's show. Simon Feck is out developing characters, ladies and gentlemen. My number one character that I developed, ladies and gentlemen, was the character Johnathon, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a start, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We got A Change, too. 999. He's a character. I asked Johnathon if he knew who A Change was, and he said no. And I said, it's a certain person in the Discord. And he goes, I don't know who that is, ladies and gentlemen. Johnathon keeps to himself. And then he says, Simon Feck, why are you in the Discord? Well, the Discord happens to be called Fight Talk, ladies and gentlemen. It's not called Bet Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Simon Feck's out. Simon Feck's going to be out collecting heads, ladies and gentlemen. That's where Simon Feck will be tonight, ladies and gentlemen, at the Shrunken Head place, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Going to be hanging out with Don Fry, ladies and gentlemen, tossing some beers back, ladies and gentlemen. Who else are we going to be hanging around with this week, ladies and gentlemen? Well, a lot of people. A lot of people, ladies and gentlemen. You see that guy over there? He's carrying a pizza over there. You see that guy? We got the Discord coming through. Hopefully it's not coming in on the video, ladies and gentlemen. You understand what I just said? Discord people, it's coming through. I'm going to get done here in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. But the stupid Discord comes through, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't mind the Discord. That guy's carrying a pizza. He's probably delivering it to somebody, ladies and gentlemen. He's probably delivering that pizza legally, too, ladies and gentlemen, not as opposed to illegally, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. So Simon Feck's going to be getting married here in Las Vegas in October, ladies and gentlemen, with some famous people going to be in Simon Feck's wedding, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Going to get married at the chapel because nobody will marry a freaking bird, ladies and gentlemen. They're like, a bird's going to be getting married to an actual woman, like an actual human woman. And we're like, yeah. And they're like, well, we can't do that. So going to have to change the wedding over to October in Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll be sending you some pictures. Yeah, that's right. Basically, only famous people in attendance, ladies and gentlemen. You see that guitar right there? There's one in Hollywood, Florida. Looks just like it in Hollywood, Florida, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck goes to a lot of events there, ladies and gentlemen. That's where I met Holyfield, ladies and gentlemen. Me and Holyfield got our muscles rubbed out, ladies and gentlemen, side by side, ladies and gentlemen. At BKFC weigh-ins, ladies and gentlemen, in Media Day. And then in the secret room back in there, Simon Feck's like my buddy Holyfield's back there. And he was on this bench and he was getting his muscles rubbed out, ladies and gentlemen. And Simon Feck laid on the table next to him. And this beautiful, beautiful young lady come over and started rubbing out Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen. True story, ladies and gentlemen. Now, somebody's going to be twisting that story around. I don't give a fuck, ladies and gentlemen. There's Hell's Kitchen right there, friend of Simon Feck too, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck knows this town inside and out, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's going to be going to some free shows, ladies and gentlemen, while he's here. Can't really put your stuff across the screen, ladies and gentlemen. We got about another 5 or 10 minutes of this video, ladies and gentlemen. And Simon Feck's got to walk across the road and get over. Now, listen. The stuff isn't at the Apex this week, ladies and gentlemen. And then the fight on Saturday being at T-Mobile. Sometimes it's in the Apex, ladies and gentlemen. But a lot of your stuff is done. Well, instead of the ceremonial weigh-ins or whatever, you know, the press or whatever, a lot of times it's done at the T-Mobile when it's a big event, numbered event, ladies and gentlemen. But there's a lot of things that happen at the Apex, and none of it's happened at the Apex, ladies and gentlemen. Not the general public is not allowed to the media event today, ladies and gentlemen. The media event today is going to be held not in the Apex, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's going to be there, ladies and gentlemen. And Simon Feck's going viral, ladies and gentlemen, later today, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's going big time. Simon Feck isn't just going to be only on his dead channel, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's been syndicated, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Some of these hotels over here on the right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, your upper scale. The upper scale, ladies and gentlemen, hotels, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck will be staying over there, let's say. When he stays here the next time, ladies and gentlemen. One of them hotels over there, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck's wedding's going to be sponsored, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Over to the right, you can't see it. It's the Bellagio water display, ladies and gentlemen. Supposedly the number one thing that people want to see and do when they come to Las Vegas besides gamble, ladies and gentlemen, is see the fountains. At the Bellagio, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck, seen him when they were first inducted into the Las Vegas seascape, ladies and gentlemen, landscape, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. These lights in Las Vegas are so freaking long. Let me tell you, I was going around. We had somebody show up without all their equipment today, ladies and gentlemen. So Simon Feck had to go around and get equipment. And then he had to get bothered from Hunt, ladies and gentlemen. This guy from Liverpool, but not really from Liverpool, from outside of Liverpool, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Hunt, ladies and gentlemen. He collects men's soiled underwear, ladies and gentlemen. He's from Liverpool, like I said, and he lives next door to some dung beetles, ladies and gentlemen. He kept bothering Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck wasn't appreciating it, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, the airplane was late. The airplane was on its way to pick up Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen, because he's too lazy to fly. So anyways, it had to get, what is it? I forget the name of it, whatever it is. It had to have a terrorist sweep on it, ladies and gentlemen, like I don't know, an unexpected thing. They were worried about the plane and terrorists. And then Simon Feck's getting on the plane after it came out, an hour later or whatever. Unbelievable. So it was late getting to Vegas. Then they said I was going to get a hotel. New York over to the right, ladies and gentlemen. Mandalay Bay straight ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Mandalay Bay, Randy Couture fought there, ladies and gentlemen. Excalibur, you can see over there. The baseball stadium over to the left is being built, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not moving the camera over there, ladies and gentlemen. New York to the right. Excalibur over to the right, ladies and gentlemen. Mandalay Bay straight ahead. There's another hotel, which is a higher dollar hotel connected to the Mandalay Bay. But Randy Couture fought over there, ladies and gentlemen. The baseball, they knocked two nice buildings down over here to the left just to put up stupid baseball. And baseball to me is going out, ladies and gentlemen. The Luxor over there to the right, ladies and gentlemen. Carrot Top, a friend of Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. And so is Chris Angel, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be Chris Angel. Chris Angel will probably be coming to my wedding in October, ladies and gentlemen. That's a true story, ladies and gentlemen. Carrot Top, I don't know. He's one of my Florida buddies. He might not be coming, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck dropping names, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Simon Feck does, ladies and gentlemen. He likes to drop names, motherfuckers.